My son threw water in my face just because I asked for a little more rice at dinner. Not a light splash, an entire glass of ice water, hurled with enough force to soak my shirt and strip away my dignity in front of my grandchildren. "Stop acting like a king in my house," he shouted while his family watched and laughed at the old man being put in his place. But what Derek didn't realize as he sat there grinning like he'd won some kind of victory was this: every deed, every mortgage, every property tax record, every legal document tied to that house bears only one name: mine. What I did next wouldn't just teach him a lesson about respect. It would change his life forever. Derek had no idea what was coming, and neither do you. Before we dive into the full story, please subscribe and drop a comment letting us know your location. What you're about to hear will show you exactly how I turned the tables on my entitled son. And it all started in the house I built with my own hands. I wake up in what used to be the guest bedroom upstairs. This smaller room has been my space for 2 years now, ever since Derek and his family moved in to help me manage things better. The master bedroom downstairs, the one I shared with Margaret for 32 years, now belongs to Derek and Jessica. They needed the space, they said. I dress quietly, careful not to wake anyone. Derek doesn't appreciate morning noise. My coffee routine has changed. I use the small pot now instead of the 12-cup maker. The kitchen smells different too, though Jessica has rearranged everything more efficiently. My old coffee mug sits in the back cabinet, replaced by Derek's travel tumbler in the prime spot. 30 years ago, I built this house with my own hands. Every weekend for 8 months, I laid every brick, installed every pipe. Margaret would bring me sandwiches, sketching kitchen ideas on napkins. 7-year-old Derek helped by bringing me tools. "Someday this will be your son," I told him as we planted the oak tree out front. Now I sit in what has become my corner of the living room. My old recliner belongs to Derek. Better for his gaming setup, he says. I have a smaller chair positioned where it won't block the TV. The family photos I arranged have been reorganized too. Derek's wedding picture holds the center spot where Margaret's portrait used to hang. The financial arrangement seemed reasonable at first. Derek handles day-to-day expenses now: utilities, groceries, cable. Let me take care of the practical stuff, Dad. It started as help but became control. He talks to repairmen, now makes decisions about lawn service, chooses what gets fixed. Tyler and Emma have settled in completely. Good kids, but they've learned Derek's casual way of dismissing me. When I tell stories about building this house, Tyler rolls his eyes. Grandpa's doing his old stories again. Emma giggles, copying her father's tone. The neighbors have adjusted to the new dynamic. Mrs. Patterson used to ask me about the garden, but now talks to Derek about property issues. Mr. Rodriguez waves politely, but I see confusion in his eyes. The man who helped him re-roof his garage has somehow become the elderly father being taken care of. This morning, watering the roses Margaret planted, I hear Derek talking to Mr. Rodriguez over the fence. "Yeah, Dad's doing okay living with us," he says, voice carrying that tone of patient responsibility. "You know how it is with older folks. Someone needs to keep an eye on things. Living with us. In the house I built. With the money I earned. Under the roof I paid for with 30 years of construction work that bent my back and calloused my hands. I stand there with the garden hose watching water flow over roots I planted, and something cold settles in my chest. When did I become the guest in my own home? Sunday after church, I return home to find Derek organizing what he calls a family meeting in my living room. Father Miguel had asked how the living arrangement was working out, and I had given him the diplomatic answer. "We're managing fine, Father." But fine feels like a stretch as Derek stands by my fireplace, clipboard in hand. "We need some house rules to make things run smoother for everyone," Derek announces. Jessica sits on my old couch nodding approvingly. Tyler and Emma sprawl on the carpet half listening. I take my assigned corner chair, feeling like a tenant at a landlord meeting. "First TV schedules," Derek continues. "Kids get priority after school, then my show's at 8. Dad, you can watch your news at 6, but we'll need the living room back by 7:30. I built this room, wired the cable outlets myself, but I nod silently. Kitchen usage. Jessica will handle meal planning and grocery lists. More efficient that way. He glances at me. Dad, if you want something special, just ask Jessica to add it to the list. Ask permission to eat in my own kitchen. The words stick in my throat. I'm handling all the day-to-day expenses now, Derek explains, chest puffing with pride. Utilities, groceries, maintenance. Takes the burden off Dad's shoulders. He makes it sound like charity, not the gradual takeover it's become. Later, at the neighborhood barbecue, I watched Derek work the crowd like a politician. Dad's place was getting too much for him, he tells the Hendersons. So we moved in to help out. Jessica adds, someone needs to handle the practical stuff. You know, Mrs. Patterson gives me a sympathetic look. It's wonderful how Derek's taking care of you, Max. Taking care of me. In the house I built with these hands. Derek corners. Mr. Rodriguez by the grill, voice animated. Yeah, we've really settled in nicely. Dad's got his routine. We handle everything else. He gestures toward my house. My house. Like he's showing off his property. I'm refilling my lemonade when I hear Derek talking to a young couple from down the street. His voice carries that casual confidence I've come to dread. Basically, it's our house now, he says with a laugh. We just let him stay in his room upstairs. Poor guy would be lost without us managing things. Our house. My room upstairs. The words hit me like cold water. I stand frozen by the beverage table paper cup trembling in my hand. 30 years of mortgage payments. Every improvement, every repair, every property tax bill, all mine. But somehow in Derek's version of reality, I'm the charity case living in his generosity. Mr. Rodriguez looks uncomfortable. Well, it's good you're helping your father. Oh, he's no trouble. Derek waves dismissively. We've got everything under control. Under control. Like I'm a problem that's been solved. I walk back toward the house. My house. Watching Derek hold court. On the patio, I laid stone by stone. Jessica has rearranged the outdoor furniture again, moved my chair to the corner where it won't interfere with conversation flow. Inside, I sit in my assigned corner of the living room, staring at the family photos Derek has reorganized. My wedding picture with Margaret tucked behind Tyler's school photo. My construction awards moved to make room for Derek's sales trophies. When did I stop being the homeowner and become the house guest? When did my son stop being grateful and start being the host? The answer settles over me like a cold shadow. Gradually, one small compromise at a time, one rearranged room, one transferred bill, one helpful suggestion at a time. Until the man who built this house became a stranger living in someone else's home. 6 o'clock dinner around the dining table I purchased 25 years ago. But the chair at the head, my chair for decades, is no longer mine. Derek has claimed it as his throne, lounging with one arm slung across the back, eating as though the house, the food, the very air belonged to him. I sit on the side like a guest, a tolerated inconvenience in the home I built. Closed another big policy today, Derek declares, slicing his steak with exaggerated precision. The Henderson account, $12,000 in premiums. Not bad for a Tuesday. Jessica beams eyes full of admiration. That's wonderful, honey. You're doing so well. Someone has to keep this household running, Derek says, flicking his gaze toward me. The implication is sharp, unmistakable. He is the provider. I am the burden. Tyler complains about homework. Derek immediately shifts into father-as-mentor mode. Success takes discipline, son. You can't just coast through life expecting handouts. His eyes cut toward me again. The lesson is meant for two audiences. I keep quiet, chewing the modest portion Jessica placed on my plate. Lately my appetite has been stronger new medication, better mornings, but I've eaten almost nothing today. The serving dishes sit full in the middle of the table, plenty of food left. I swallow glance at the rice. Could I have a little more, please? My voice is soft, careful. The effect is immediate. Derek freezes fork halfway to his mouth. Jessica pauses mid-bite. Even the children go silent. Excuse me, Derek asks slowly. I'm still a little hungry and You're getting demanding in your old age. He interrupts, voice dripping with disdain. First you want to sit at my table, now you want extra food. My table, my food, I don't correct him. I just thought, no, Derek snaps. You don't get to think anymore, old man. You think you can just ask for whatever you want, make demands in my house. Jessica tries Derek maybe, but he silences her with a glare. This is exactly the problem, he continues louder now. Give someone an inch, they take a mile. Let an old man stay under your roof, and suddenly he believes he runs the place. The children stare wide-eyed, entertained by the spectacle of their father putting Grandpa in his place. You think because you're my father, you're entitled to special treatment. Derek leans forward, face flushed with self-righteous anger. Let me show you what entitlement looks like. He seizes his water glass. I know what's coming, but disbelief holds me still. You want more, he sneers. Here's more. The water slaps against my face, cold and humiliating. It trickles down my cheeks, soaks into my shirt pools on my plate. The rice I had asked for floats in a pathetic broth of shame. Stop acting like a king in my house. Derek roars, slamming the empty glass down so hard the rim cracks. The silence is deafening. Jessica gasps, then forces a brittle laugh. Derek, that's a bit much. But Dad, you were being a little demanding. Tyler claps his hands. Dad got him good. Did you see his face? Emma giggles behind her fingers. Grandpa looks funny all wet. Not one person offers me a towel. Not one voice says Derek is wrong. Instead, they watch me like an actor in their evening's entertainment. Derek leans back smug. Maybe now you'll remember your place. I pick up my napkin with trembling hands, dabbing at my face. Each drop that falls feels like another piece of my dignity dissolving. My house, Derek repeats, savoring the words. My rules, my table, my food. Don't forget it again. I rise slowly, water dripping from my shirt, every movement deliberate. Their eyes follow me, expecting an outburst, perhaps a fight. Part of me wants to give it, grab Derek by his collar, drag him outside, remind him whose name is on every deed and tax bill in this house. But I won't, not tonight. I walk to my small upstairs room. Behind me, Derek's voice turns casual again. Well, that was overdue. Pass the potatoes, honey. Dinner continues as though nothing happened, as though throwing water in your father's face is just another Tuesday night. Upstairs, I sit on the edge of my narrow bedshirt, clinging to my skin, staring at my reflection in the dresser mirror. An old man stares back, hair-wet pride, broken dignity, shattered. But then I remember. I open the desk drawer and pull out the folder I have kept organized and intact for 3 decades. House deed, mortgage papers, property tax receipts, insurance documents. Every single page bears one name, Maxwell Stone. Derek may throw water and call it his house. Jessica may laugh to hide her unease. The children may mock their dripping grandfather. But the county courthouse tells a very different story. I touch the deed with reverent fingers, the weight of truth steadying me. My house, I whisper. My money. My choice. And tonight, Derek, you've made the gravest mistake of your entitled life. The next morning, I drive to St. Anthony's before Derek's family wakes up. They don't know I still keep my car keys, another small freedom I've quietly maintained. The parking lot is nearly empty at 7 a.m., just how I need it. Father Miguel finds me kneeling in the front pew, staring at the crucifix above the altar. We've known each other for 15 years since Margaret's cancer diagnosis. He's seen me through the worst grief of my life, and somehow I know he'll understand this too. Max, you're here early, he says, settling beside me. Everything all right at home? The question opens a floodgate. I tell him everything. The gradual takeover, the lost authority in my own house. Derek's claim that it's his home now. When I reach the water incident, my voice breaks slightly. He threw water in my face, Father, at my own dinner table. Called it his house. I touch my cheek, still feeling the sting of humiliation. My grandchildren watched and laughed. Father Miguel's weathered face hardens. Max, you've been carrying this burden alone too long. I keep thinking about forgiveness, I say. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? Turn the other cheek? There's a difference between forgiveness and enabling destruction, Father Miguel replies. Even Jesus cleansed the temple when people disrespected sacred space. Sometimes love requires setting firm boundaries. He opens his worn Bible to a passage I've heard before but never truly understood. The parable of the steward, Max. God gives us resources to use wisely. Are you being a good steward of what he's entrusted to you? I think about the house deed in my drawer, the mortgage payments I've made faithfully for 30 years. I built that house with these hands, Father. Every nail, every board. Then it's not enabling to reclaim proper authority, he says gently. You've confused charity with surrender. Letting Derek live there was generous. Letting him claim ownership is foolish. But he's my son, and you're his father. Fathers teach consequences, Max. How else do children learn? Father Miguel stands pacing slowly in front of the altar. You know what troubles me most? Your grandchildren are learning that disrespecting elders is acceptable, that taking what isn't yours is normal. Is that the lesson you want to leave them? The question hits deep. Tyler's smirk after Derek threw the water. Emma's giggle at my humiliation. They're learning that Grandpa's dignity is disposable. What would you do, Father? I'd pray for wisdom. Then I'd remember that sometimes the most loving thing a parent can do is let their child face the natural consequences of their choices. He looks at me steadily, Derek needs to learn that respect isn't optional and ownership isn't assumed. We kneel together in the quiet sanctuary. Father Miguel's voice is soft, but firm as he prays for guidance, for strength, for the courage to do what love requires, rather than what feels comfortable. When we finish, he places his hand on my shoulder. Max, you've spent 2 years being a guest in your own home. That's not humility. That's confusion. A man has the right to dignity in his own house. I don't. The Bible says, honor thy father and mother, I say quietly. Yes, it does. And Derek has forgotten that commandment entirely. As I prepare to leave, Father Miguel walks me to the door. Whatever you decide to do, Max, make sure it comes from love, not anger. Correction born from love teaches. Correction born from anger only destroys. I shake his hand, feeling lighter than I have in months. Thank you, Father. Go in peace, Max. And remember, sometimes the most merciful thing we can do is allow people to face the truth about their choices. Driving home, I think about stewardship, about boundaries, about the difference between love and enabling. Derek threw water in my face because he's never learned that actions have consequences. Maybe it's time for his education to begin. 3 days after my conversation with Father Miguel, I sit in Sarah Mitchell's law office with a folder full of documents. She comes highly recommended, specializes in elder law and family disputes. Her office walls display certificates from Ohio State Bar Association and 20 years of practice. Mr. Stone, tell me about your situation, she says, opening a yellow legal pad. I explain the living arrangement, Derek's gradual takeover, and the water incident. Sarah's expression grows more serious as I describe how Derek claims ownership of my house. Let's start with the property, she says, reviewing my house deed. Good news, this deed shows only your name. Derek was never added as co-owner. Relief washes over me. So legally, Derek has 0 rights to this property. He's essentially a tenant without a lease. You could evict him tomorrow if you wanted. She examines my financial documents next. These joint accounts follow Ohio's right of survivorship laws. As the primary holder, you can withdraw any amount. Derek has access privileges, not ownership rights. But can I close the accounts? Withdrawing funds, yes. Closing requires both signatures, but emptying them is entirely your prerogative. Sarah makes notes. You still pay the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, every month for 30 years? Then Derek's claim of ownership is pure fantasy. She pauses, frowning at one document. Mr. Stone, I need to show you something concerning. She pulls out copies of credit applications Derek filed 6 months ago. My stomach drops as I read them. Your son listed this house as his primary residence and used your joint accounts as collateral for personal loans, without your knowledge or consent. The betrayal hits like a physical blow. Is that legal? Absolutely not. It's fraud. Derek could face criminal charges if creditors pursue this. Sarah's voice is gentle but firm. He's been living a lie, Max. To his friends, his creditors, probably to himself. The scope of Derek's deception staggers me. He hasn't just taken over my house, he's been actively stealing my identity as homeowner. What are my options? Several. Immediate eviction is possible, but messy. I'd recommend a strategic approach. She outlines a 3-week plan. Week 1, legal documentation and bank clearances. Week 2, systematic fund withdrawal. There's a $10,000 daily limit for federal reporting compliance. Week 3, final transfers and clean separation. The bank will allow this. With Adult Protective Services clearance, yes. They'll interview you to confirm you're not under duress or being manipulated. Standard procedure for elderly clients making large financial changes. I think about Father Miguel's words about stewardship. I'm not doing this for revenge, Sarah. I'm doing it because enabling him is destroying my family. That's exactly the right mindset, she says. Courts recognize that sometimes tough love serves everyone's best interests. We spend another hour reviewing procedures, bank interviews, APS clearance, withdrawal schedules, property protection measures. Sarah explains everything twice, ensuring I understand each step. One more thing, Max. Derek's been telling people he owns your house. When the truth comes out, he'll face social embarrassment on top of financial consequences. Maybe embarrassment will teach him what kindness couldn't. Sarah hands me a business card. Call me if you need anything. And Max, you're not the first parent who had to reclaim their own home. You won't be the last. Driving home, I feel something I haven't experienced in years: control. Not angry control, but the quiet confidence of a man who knows his rights and has the law on his side. Derek threw water in my face and called it his house. But Sarah Mitchell just confirmed what I've known all along. Every brick, every board, every legal document proves otherwise. Tomorrow I start taking back what was never his to claim. Week 2 begins with my first visit to First National Bank at 9 a.m. sharp. The teller, Mrs. Henderson, has known me for 15 years. She processes my $10,000 withdrawal, without question, though she mentions the Adult Protective Services requirement for large transactions. Just a precaution for clients over 65, Mr. Stone. Someone will call to schedule a brief interview. Derek doesn't notice my daily bank trips. He's never paid attention to my routines, and I've always handled our finances. While he's at work selling insurance, I'm systematically dismantling the financial foundation he thinks belongs to him. The APS social worker, Ms. Rodriguez, meets me at the bank on Thursday. She's thorough but kind, asking about my mental state, whether anyone is pressuring me if I understand the implications of my actions. Mr. Stone, you seem completely competent and clear about your decisions. She concludes, the bank is cleared to process your transactions. By Friday of week 2, I've withdrawn $70,000. Derek remains oblivious, still strutting around the house like he owns it. That evening, he announces plans to install a hot tub on the deck. It'll really increase our property value? He tells Jessica, not bothering to ask my opinion about modifications to my own home. Week 3 accelerates the process. My investment accounts, $247,000 in mutual funds and retirement savings, transfer to new accounts bearing only my name. Derek's name disappears from every beneficiary designation. The process takes 5 business days, standard for large transfers. Derek grows more possessive as the week progresses, as if sensing some threat he can't identify. He talks to neighbors about his plans for the property, discusses refinancing his mortgage, even mentions adding a workshop in his backyard. Each conversation I overhear strengthens my resolve. By Thursday, I've moved $847,000 total. The joint accounts remain open with exactly $1 each. I can't close them without Derek's signature, but I can certainly empty them. Friday morning, Derek leaves for work as usual. See you tonight, Dad. He calls casually, like he's doing me a favor by acknowledging my existence in my own home. I wait until his car disappears, then begin my final preparations. 1 suitcase, clothes, medications, important documents. I leave behind furniture, books, most personal items. Material things can be replaced, dignity cannot. The hardest part is packing Margaret's wedding ring and our photo from the honeymoon. Everything else in this house can stay, but these memories come with me. I call a taxi for noon, then sit down to write the note I've been composing in my head for weeks. Derek, you threw water in my face and called it your house. I've taken back what was always mine. The county records will show you the truth about ownership. Learn to stand on your own feet. Dad. I place it on the kitchen counter where he'll find it tonight. The taxi arrives exactly at noon. I take one last look around the house I built with my own hands. The rooms where Derek grew up, the kitchen where Margaret cooked thousands of meals. 30 years of memories, but I'm not running from them. I'm carrying the good ones with me. Where to? The driver asks. Greyhound station. The bus to Wilmington, North Carolina leaves at 2:30 p.m. I pay cash by a one-way ticket and settle into a window seat. As Cleveland fades behind me, I feel something I haven't experienced in years: freedom. Derek will come home tonight expecting dinner, expecting his usual throne at the head of my table. Instead, he'll find empty accounts, an empty house, and the truth he's spent 2 years avoiding. I'm not running away. I'm walking toward the life I should have claimed years ago. Derek's day starts normally. He sells 3 insurance policies by lunch, feeling confident about his monthly numbers. He decides to celebrate at Romano's, the Italian place where he likes to impress clients. The waiter brings the check, $47.83 for lunch and drinks. Derek slides his card through the reader. Declined. He tries again, thinking it's a machine error. Declined. Sir, do you have another card? The waiter asks politely. Derek's face flushes. He pulls out his backup card. Declined. Panic creeps up his throat. He excuses himself and calls the bank from his car. First National. This is Jennifer. How can I help you? There's something wrong with my account, Derek says, trying to keep his voice steady. My cards aren't working. After verifying his information, Jennifer delivers the blow. Mr. Stone, your account shows a balance of $1. Large withdrawals were processed over the past 2 weeks. That's impossible. I didn't authorize any withdrawals. The withdrawals were made by the primary account holder, Maxwell Stone. He has full authority over these accounts. Derek's world tilts. But I'm on those accounts too. Yes, sir, you had access privileges, but Mr. Maxwell Stone was the primary holder with full withdrawal rights. The phone slips from Derek's trembling hand. Primary holder, full withdrawal rights. The words echo in his head as he speeds home, running 2 red lights and barely avoiding an accident. He bursts through the front door, his front door he's always thought, calling for me. Dad, Dad, where are you? Silence. He checks my small upstairs room. Empty. Closet bare. Dresser drawers pulled out vacant. The folder where I kept important papers, gone. Racing downstairs, Derek searches frantically until he spots the note on the kitchen counter. His hands shake as he reads it. Derek, you threw water in my face and called it your house. I've taken back what was always mine. The county records will show you the truth about ownership. Learn to stand on your own feet, Dad. The words hit him like physical blows. County records, truth about ownership. The implications crash over him in waves. He calls Jessica, voice cracking. You need to come home. Now. What's wrong? Just come home. When Jessica arrives with the kids, Derek shows her the note with shaking hands. Her face goes white as she reads. What does this mean? She whispers. It means... Derek's voice breaks. It means this was never our house. Tyler looks confused. What's happening? Where's Grandpa? He's gone, Derek says, collapsing into my old recliner, the chair he claimed as his own. And he took everything. Jessica's voice rises to near hysteria. What do you mean everything? The money. All of it. $800,000. Derek stares at the note. And this house? Jessica, I think this house was always his. The realization hits like an avalanche. Every mortgage payment, every property tax bill, every insurance premium, all paid by me. Derek contributed utilities and groceries and convinced himself that made him the owner. Emma starts crying, sensing the adult panic. Tyler demands answers no one can give. That evening, neighbors notice the commotion. Mrs. Patterson peers through her curtains as Derek paces the driveway, phone pressed to his ear, desperately trying to reach me. But my phone has been disconnected since yesterday. Mr. Rodriguez approaches cautiously. Everything all right, Derek? My father, Derek's voice cracks, he's gone, and he took everything. I don't understand. The house, Rodriguez. It was never mine. None of it was ever mine. Word spreads quickly through the neighborhood. By morning, everyone knows that Derek Stone, who bragged about his house and supporting his father, has been living a lie. Some neighbors shake their heads in disappointment. Others, like Mrs. Patterson, quietly approve. About time Max stood up for himself, she tells her husband. That boy never appreciated what he had. Meanwhile, 400 miles south, I sit on a small porch overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, watching dolphins play in the morning surf. The coastal air is clean and salt-sweet, nothing like the heavy atmosphere of that house in Cleveland. My phone, a new number Derek doesn't have, remains silent. And for the first time in years, that silence feels like peace. 30 days after I disappeared, Sarah Mitchell arrives at the house I built with a sealed envelope. Derek opens the door, looking haggard, unshaven, hollow-eyed, wearing the same shirt for 3 days. The confident man who once claimed ownership of everything has been replaced by someone who finally understands he owns nothing. Please, Derek begs before Sarah can speak. I need to reach him. I understand now. I was wrong about everything. Sarah's expression remains professional, but not unkind. I'm instructed to give you this letter, Derek. Nothing more. Derek's hands tremble as he takes the envelope. Jessica hovers behind him, Tyler and Emma watching from the stairs. The family gathers in the living room. My living room. As Derek opens what he hopes might be reconciliation, he reads aloud, voice breaking. Derek, you lived in my house for 2 years and forgot it wasn't yours. You threw water in my face and called it your house. But the deed in the county courthouse tells a different story. I built that house with my own hands in 1994. Every nail, every board, every dollar came from 30 years of construction work that bent my back and scarred my hands. You paid utilities and groceries and convinced yourself that made you the owner. Check the county records. Check the mortgage documents. Check the property tax bills. My name only. Always was. Always will be. I didn't take your house. You never had one. I didn't steal your money. It was never yours. I simply stopped letting you pretend otherwise. For 2 years you treated me like a burden in my own home. You moved me to the small room, took my chair, rearranged my kitchen, made rules for my house. You told neighbors you were taking care of me while spending my money and claiming my property. The night you threw water in my face, you crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. but maybe losing everything will teach you what having everything couldn't. I forgive your disrespect, but I won't enable it anymore. Learn to build your own foundation, Derek. Earn your own house. Teach Tyler and Emma that respect isn't optional and ownership isn't assumed. I pray that someday they'll visit me in my new home when they're old enough to understand that love sometimes requires tough lessons. Dad. The silence that follows is profound. Derek sets the letter down, tears streaming down his face. He's right, Derek whispers, about everything. For the first time in his adult life, Derek takes full responsibility. He apologizes to Jessica for the lies about their security. He explains to Tyler and Emma that Grandpa didn't abandon them. Their father drove him away through disrespect and entitlement. Are we going to be homeless? Emma asks, her 9-year-old voice small and scared. No, sweetheart, Derek says, pulling her close. Daddy's going to find us a real home, one that actually belongs to us. Within a week, Derek gets a second job delivering pizzas at night. He finds a modest apartment across town, small, affordable, honest. For the first time, he signs a lease in his own name, pays rent, with his own earnings, builds something that truly belongs to him. Meanwhile, 400 miles south, I wake each morning to the sound of ocean waves. My small apartment overlooks a fishing pier where pelicans dive for breakfast. I've made friends at the local diner, other retirees who chose peace over family drama. I don't regret my decision. Every morning I walk the beach and think about the lessons I should have taught Derek years ago. Respect, gratitude, the difference between earning and taking. Sometimes I wonder about Tyler and Emma. I hope they'll understand someday that their grandfather didn't leave because he stopped loving them. I left because continuing to enable their father's disrespect would have taught them that dignity is disposable. I pray they'll visit when they're older, when they can appreciate that sometimes the hardest love is the kind that sets boundaries. The ocean doesn't judge. It simply accepts all who come to its shores seeking peace. And finally, after 70 years of learning, I've found mine. Sometimes the greatest betrayal comes from those we love most. Max's story reminds us that respect isn't inherited. It's earned through our daily actions. When Derek threw water in his father's face, he forgot that God blesses those who honor their parents, and curses flow to those who don't. The lesson here isn't about revenge, it's about boundaries. God gives us wisdom to know when love requires tough decisions. Max didn't abandon his family. He stopped enabling their destruction. There's a profound difference between the two. These betrayal stories teach us that dignity has a price, and sometimes we must pay it to preserve our souls. Like the countless grandpa stories we hear, this one shows that elders deserve respect, not just care. Max built his house with his hands, but Derek tried to steal it with entitlement. God works in mysterious ways. What seemed like Max's weakest moment, sitting alone with water dripping from his face, became his strongest. He chose strategic silence over emotional chaos, legal justice over bitter revenge. The real tragedy in these betrayal stories isn't the money or the house. It's that Tyler and Emma learned disrespect was acceptable. But perhaps Derek's fall will teach them what his success never could. In Grandpa stories like this, we see that sometimes the most loving thing a parent can do is walk away. Max found peace by the ocean, proving it's never too late to reclaim your dignity. What's your take on Max's decision? Have you witnessed similar family betrayal stories? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful Grandpa stories that remind us why respect matters. Hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what's coming next.